Let's talk about importing contacts into Gecko. And we're going to be doing this by, in a moment, downloading a CSV or flat file that we can import into Gecko. Now, the important thing to note is that your spreadsheet of data needn't necessarily be formatted in any way you want. Gecko is incredibly malleable and is able to fit around whatever parameters or whatever format your spreadsheet is. But we can see here we have 3 contacts that we're going to be importing with their name, their email address, telephone number, and a program of interest. The very first thing I need to do before I go any further is to make sure I have this to hand. So I'm going to download this as a comma separated values or CSV file. Now, hopping over to Gecko, we're going to go to Settings, we're going to go to Import Data, and we're going to click New Import in the top right hand corner. We're going to tell Gecko that rather than importing through a integration, we want to import the file directly, so we'll choose File Import. Now we're nearly there. We need to give our import a title. We're then going to tell Gecko this is a one-off import and that this is a list of and group of contacts that we want to import into the system. And then we can simply either pick the file or drag and drop it across. Click Upload CV. And we're taken to this page, which allows you to do a few things. Now, the first thing to note is you can adjust the title if you'd like to up here, but you can also tell Gecko what happens on the first row. Now, for my particular spreadsheet, on my very first row, we can see we have column headers. I don't want to import that because it's not a real person, it's not real data, so I do want to tell Gecko to skip the first row. However, if we launch straight into the data, we would untoggle this so you could include that first value. Now, what we're seeing here is a small preview of some of the first values on the first couple of rows of the spreadsheet, and then correspondingly, what value should we import this into, or where in the system should we put this information. So for example, in this cell we have the first name, so I can tell Gecko that the contact field on Gecko that corresponds to this is the full name field, and specifically this is in which format is this in, and in this case it's just the first name in this cell. As you can see though, if it was first comma last, first space last, you'd be fully sorted and be able to run that. In the next cell we have the full name and it's just the last name. This particular field is the email address, so we're going to tell Gecko whatever value is in this particular cell has to go into the Gecko contact email address field. For telephone, we have a few other options as well, where we can choose, is this a country abbreviation, is this a dial code, or the actual raw number. This is a dial code, and this is the number. Finally, we're going to choose program of interest to import into the program of interest field. And when I've finished and I'm happy with my mappings, just go ahead and hit finish import. What this is going to do is it'll run this, it'll import the new contacts that don't exist, and it'll merge any existing contacts on the system with a record that they were part of this particular import.